A woman walked into my pawn shop carrying a violin and asked if I could give her $50 for it, but the moment I looked at it, I realized it was a vintage 1743 violin worth millions of dollars. I asked where she got it, and she said my mother just left it to me. Please, is it worth anything? I need money to buy groceries. Her children were sitting in the car outside skinny and wearing torn clothes. I looked at the violin again. If I took it, I'd never have to work another day in my life. But as I watched her filling out the sales form, I just couldn't do it. I went to tell her the violin's real value. But then my boss Gerald came over and snatched the violin from her hands. Well, take it, he said with a huge grin, and I instantly realized he knew exactly how much it was worth. He handed her $50, and the woman said thank you so much before leaving the shop. Before I could stop her, Gerald started laughing, shouting that he was rich, calling the woman stupid, and carrying the violin into the back room. I watched the woman drive away, and when I turned back, Gerald was already taking photos of the violin, planning to sell it. I couldn't believe it. I waited until he went to the bathroom. Then I quietly slipped into his office, grabbed the violin, took the woman's sales form with her address on it, and ran out the door. I drove straight to her house while Gerald called me the entire way, screaming into the phone. I knocked on her door and saw the children behind her trying to turn old cardboard boxes into clothes. I explained that her violin was worth millions of dollars. Her jaw dropped in shock. She took the violin and immediately burst into tears. I felt happy until I looked at my phone and saw a message from Gerald saying I was fired. At first, I didn't care because I knew I had done the right thing, but for weeks past, I still hadn't found a new job, and I was struggling to pay rent. Swallowing my pride, I went back to beg for my job again. Gerald smirked. You can have your job back, he said, but only if you go and get that violin back from the woman. I didn't want to do it, but my rent was due the next day. As I stood there wondering what to do, I heard the front door open. The woman walked in holding an envelope. She handed it to me, and when I opened it, I saw a check for 25 of $4 million. I already sold the violin. She said, this is my way of saying thank you. I looked outside at her children sitting in the car, now smiling and wearing brand new clothes. Gerald saw the check and immediately panicked. Where's my share? He shouted. The woman looked at him and said, you paid $50 for something worth millions from a woman who needed money to buy food. You don't deserve a single cent. She turned and walked out, and just before the car pulled away, one of her children looked at Gerald through the window and pretended to play a violin.